Hello.
Wow. Woo!
Hi. Thanks, Limone, for the introduction, and thanks to Urbe for hosting the event. I'm Davide. I work mainly on market design for MEV and layer 2s, but today I'm going to talk about governance, like a little bit at L1, but also at L2, since it's one of the theme of the hackathon. So in particular, I'm going to talk about like how governance in L2s different from L1, and like why is it important for scaling Ethereum. First, I'm going to introduce governance from the L1 perspective, just like to set the stage, and then I'm going to go over like some emerging structures in L2 governance, mainly drawing examples from Arbitrum and Optimism, which are the most advanced experiments. And then I'll try to distill some emerging principles and also like some directions for improving governance at L2. So I guess the start is like, the start of it all is a political decentralization. Like this is very important, and essentially like you want to make sure that in these systems we are building the decision-making power is not concentrated in the hands of a few people, but very distributed. So how do we do it? How do we do that at L1, and then how do we do it at L2? I don't know why the title is not coming up, but okay. Let's start from the layer 1, from like the Ethereum base layer. So why do we need governance there? The first goal is to improve the protocol. So you want to maintain the protocol security, but you also want to like make changes to allow it to scale, which is still a problem that we are trying to solve and working on today. Then you want sustainable decentralization. So like there is some core properties, core values of Ethereum that we want to maintain, and governance may be important for this. But then the third thing, which is very important, especially since the plan for Ethereum is to scale using layer 2s, which are big systems that are built on top. You want the base layer to be credibly neutral. So these are the high-level goals. And like, how does governance work in Ethereum at a high level? So essentially, like, there is a process where, like, in order to improve the protocol, you need to submit some EIPs. These are discussed by core developers, other members of the community. Then another important set of actors is like what used to be the miners. And today in Ethereum 2, they're essentially unbundled into like 3 main roles. There is stakers, there is LSTs, and there is operators. So essentially, these are the entities that hold most of the power of like running the chain and validating the chain. And ultimately, there is hard forks. So essentially, like when we need to submit a change to the protocol, or if there is a bug and the protocol needs to, like the community like wants to respond, then there is the possibility of doing hard forks. One thing to note here is that nowhere in this governance landscape there is tokens. So at layer 1, there is no token-weighted governance. Like there is processes, there is actors, there is forums of discussion, but at the end, it's all informal. It's sometimes referred to as a rough consensus. So there is like discussion, especially on the most technical things, and we try to get to a consensus in the community. So this is kind of a summary of like how governance is going to look like, maybe in 5 or 10 years once the Ethereum base layer is done. Basically, hopefully there is much less decisions to be made, but there is still like some main actors operating the chain. There is still the community, and there is still some possibility of bugs. So governance will always be there, but it will be much simpler. So yeah, hopefully, like we can get to that state where, with the very lean governance, we can achieve all the goals that I mentioned before. So now, like, let's talk about L2s and like why do we need governance there, and like how is it different from L1? So we want to have like this very lean, credibly neutral layer at layer 1, but then the question is like, is that enough? Like, can we have like very little governance and just like have a system that like is ossified and everything runs? The reality is that we do still need to like build on top of the system. The system needs to be dynamic because like in the future there will be like new applications, new scalability solutions, new privacy solutions, interoperability. So these innovations, which may not all be in the core Ethereum protocol, they need to be somewhere. They will be in L2 system, L2 ecosystems, and we do need governance there to like fuel the ecosystem, to allow for innovation, and in order like for these systems to evolve, like there needs to be some level of active governance, and that's the main reason why governance is so important for layer 2s and why like the main projects are investing so much in it. So essentially like at layer 2, the governance goals are very different from the L1 because like when the L2 is well designed, like when these systems are mature, they gain a lot of, for example, censorship resistance and like other fundamental properties. They inherit them from Ethereum layer 1. So essentially they worry about different things. They worry about like, first, improve the protocol so that it's mature and it's secure. Second, maintain the protocol, minimize rent, increase security. And third, grow their ecosystem, right? These are like small economies that are like also competing with one another, so they want to also be lean and have a decision process that works. So very different goals from layer 1. And maybe like the best way to show this is like to show what are the main features of like L2 governance today. And you can see that they're very different from layer 1 in the sense, what is the stated objectives of like the two main L2 chains. So Optimism really focuses on ecosystem growth, while Arbitrum really focuses on like security, throughput, and scalability. And then their governance model is based on token. And like the reason why like will be clear like when I conclude my talk. But essentially, like both system, like Optimism uses the OP token for governance, and Arbitrum using the URB token for governance. And on the Optimism side, they have like a governance structure with 3 main entities. So there is a token house, like essentially you vote with your token. There is a citizen house, which this is like elected people that they are like eminent members of the community, so they are there to kind of like counterbalance the token house. And then there is still like some centralized decision making, which it's like in the form of a multisig in Optimism and of a security council in Arbitrum that is elected and is also part of governance. And then like decision making is community inclusive, and then there is other principle like transparency. So I just like want to draw from this example to kind of summarize why L2 governance is structured this way, and why do they use token weighted governance. So the main reason is that essentially the governance structure that are in place today at L2 have many advantages. Like they're transparent, they're flexible, they're more adaptable, and you can experiment with them much more than the L1 governance, which is kind of slower as well. With token weighted governance, you can maybe have like some core decisions that are driven by like project members, community members, but then you can engage like the community much more broadly. But there's also big risks. So like one is plutocracy. So essentially like people with like huge amount of stake essentially dictating what the chain does. Security and also rent extraction. So essentially like I would say my punchline for this talk is that like there is these emerging structures that they are trying to mitigate like the main risks with like doing token-based governance, for example, like with the Citizen House in the Optimist Collective. And like there are the first experiments of how to set these structures, but they are by no means done. Like they are the first great experiments in governance, but we definitely need more refinement and more experimentation. Yeah, so this is the end of my talk.
Thank you so much, Davide.